Hello to everyone. My name is Eldad Ben-Meir. I'm the Quality of Search Team Leader in Primo. Today's webinar is about relevance ranking. I have here a few questions that I'll use as starting points to go into certain areas in the system that's connected to relevance. I'll go over the question, its answer in its way, and then I'll also extend the question to things related to that area itself. Our library harvests our local institution repository in Primo, more than 150,000 records, because the repository also acts as an institutional bibliography. Not all records of this repository have got a full text. We would like to make records with full text more visible than the records with no full text. Is there any way to make records with full text more relevant than records with no full text attached? I will look at this as this is a question as how do we let's say, make more relevant or boost up collections or records in the system itself, in Primo itself. Okay, so I will take this as a point to what can we do. And so, in fact, we have three ways in a certain way. It depends on what where we're searching, and that's what our scope is. But if we take that question of that we have a collection and we want to boost certain things in that collection, in our local collection, we can start first of all with the booster, or the ranking booster in the normalization rules. I want to, talk about it for a moment, then we'll show just how it looks in the UI. And so what we can do, if we know where our, what collection we want to boost, like in this point we know that we're talking about an institutional bibliography that not all the records, but we do know where those that have full text come from, and we understand where the records from the full text arrive, where they don't arrive. So what we can do in the normalization rules, we can go to the ranking section, and there, to the booster, add a boost to the records, with normalization rules, of course, to what we want to boost up, to those types of records. So I'll just quickly go, and we'll go to the back office here of a div environment. Here. Okay, 1 second, let's get this a bit bigger so we can be able to see it much nicer. Okay, so we have I will take here the Volcano University, Alfena Mark. Okay, we're going to this normalization rules. We have here our ranking section. Okay. In this ranking section, of course, I can add here the booster. Okay, booster 1, booster 2. And what I can do in booster 1 is I can set here a rule in the normalization rules that for the certain records that come from a certain data source, that come from whatever rules that from the collection that you can identify that those you want to boost up, and set the and set this value to the certain boost that I want to give here. Now, 1 means that no boost is really done. It's a multiplier. That means it'll boost the score of those records, those documents with 1, and nothing happens. And so we generally don't say we recommend not to put here very large numbers, but mostly 2, 3, 4, and around those numbers. Single number is quite low at around that, to multiply it by 2 or to 3. Now, there is no real recommendation what the number should be, because it really depends on the data itself, on the data that's inside in the collection, the corpus over here. And so the best thing here to do, of course, is to, in your staging and filtering or in testing to test, take the certain record, a record or records that you want to do, change this normalization rule. I would suggest starting with 2 and little by little going a bit higher up, running the normalization rules, indexing, and seeing how it affects on those specific that specific collection data or whatever that came from that you would like to boost up. And that is, well, one of the, let's just say, one of the simple way to, when you have a certain collection that you know where you want to come up, where to boost it up. Yeah, that's the first one. That's the first one that I wanted to show. The second one, of course, is the blending. Now, the blending, of course, we're not talking about in the institution. Oops, sorry, excuse me. In your collection, it's when you're starting to blend with other collection, with third nodes, when you want to collect with third parties, deep searches, WorldCat, EBSCO, Primo Central. You want to start blending that, but you want to make sure that or a certain of those third nodes are boosted higher, are more relevant, or your collection will still be stronger than whatever you're blending together. And that's where our default, we like to blend and get from everything, but we want to make sure that our institution is stronger. So again, I'll go back here to the back office, start from the beginning again, and search engine configurations. And what we have here, we have our blending here, our force parameters of blending, okay? And here I can decide on which engine, which deep search, or which engine I would like to now force the blending. Now, what does it mean, force the blending here? Because I'm now getting two types of records from two different engines, I want to decide which engine is more important or which engine is less important. And what I can do here, I can start. I can decide where I would like certain results to be. And so if we start from our local engine, normally this is the main, our recommendation would start from, I am now, let's say, blending local search engine with Primo Central. And I would like my local search engine parameters, my local search engine results to be higher up. And so we're blending again, and we're back to the blending. So I'm here wanting to blend, I'm blending local search engine with Primo Central. I want my local results to be stronger, higher, relevant, more relevant than the Primo Central, more relevant to the WorldCat, to the EBSCO. I want them to be seen higher up in the results. And what I can do here is I can, first of all, give a constant factor before I go to the force. But a constant factor. What this means that I will give a constant boost to all results that come from my local search engine, automatically boosting them up. Take their score, Primo Central has a score, Primo Local has a score, I will multiply my Primo Local collection results with 4. That automatically, and then I'll have them, let's say, we'll see who's the winner between those results, which is more relevant, even though I've given a constant. If that's not still enough, and I want to still make sure that on certain searches, where I know that, let's say, Primo Central or WorldCat are stronger than my local because of the data there, then I would like to anyhow have my local data higher up results. Then I can start the force blending. And the force blending is that I have here 3 parameters. The first one is saying when I want to now combine, minimum intent for combining. I want to now combine my local results. Where would I want them to be combined with the Primo Central, with the WorldCat results? Where would I want them to be? Well, I want them to be high, medium, or low. And this, in fact, what this means, high, medium, low, is where in the first 10 results. Would I like it in the first 2 results, in around the 5 results, in the middle, or lower down, around, I think it's 7. And that's where I decide where I want my, in a certain search as well. I've got the constant factor that anyhow boosts up my results, but I want to make sure anyhow in certain searches that I will see, excuse me, I made a mistake, sorry. This is the location, this is just what's the score. Excuse me, sorry. I will jump to that for a second, I'll come back to what I said before. The top, center, and bottom is the location where I put the results. This will be the first 2, around the first 2, this will be in the 5th, and this will be around the 7th. And the medium hint rank for combining, I'm sorry, that was the difference. This is to say, how high do we want the local data to be the score to mix it, to make it anyhow to combine its location. What do I mean again? If I have score, let's say, Primo Central is 10, and the local score, its score is 2, do I still want to combine it to the top location, to put it in the second place? Even though it's very low, it's 2. And all the Primo Central is around 10 because they're very relevant, and the Primo Local is around 2 because it's not that relevant. And what I do here with this hit rank for combining, I say, I want to, the threshold to allow to come is low. Even though it's 2, I will still want my local collection to come high. Medium will say, no, you know what, I don't want very low ones to come. If it's not a very relevant ranking, even though it's in my local collection, I still do not want it higher up. And I won't boost it up. I won't put it in the second place. I need it to be around medium. Let's say if the top high is 10, I would like it if you're at least 5. The score is 5. Of course, I'm just these numbers are just for illustration. But the scoring there, I would like it to be in the medium result from the highest record here that I have from Primo result, and then I will put it in the top place. And high, of course, only I want very relevant, very high scores to be boosted up. If it's not a high score, if it's not a relevant score, I will not want you to combine the local results with the Primo Central. I don't want it up, okay? I want only really relevant. Okay, and here you can play around with this parameter to see how much you want the local collection to anyhow to boost it up. The last one, of course, is how much I want to reward, and this is the number of results from local that I will boost up to its places. So if let's take our combining that our example, we have a minimum hit rank of low. We want to put in the top location and 3. That means even if all my Primo local results have a score of 2 and Primo Central has 10, I will anyhow put in the top place, which is the second place. I will give the number results of 3, and I'll start putting 3 records of the local. I will push them up above the Primo Central and put them from the third place and merge them with the other ones from Primo Central. 3 means how much I will boost up if they're not strong enough. Of course, if the Primo local is strong enough, it's really, really relevant, right? Just like Primo Central was relevant, then you will still see, of course, the local in its place, and it'll boost up the other 3 below it. You will get local come up and will be blended together with it, and we'll get the score. This is just to reward ones that aren't strong enough, that don't win, are not relevant like in score, like the Primo Central or the other third node, and we want to boost them up. So this is the second one. Of course, this is not only local. If the main question was about local, but we can do it with anyone. We can blend here. When we created a view, a scope, which is blended WorldCat and EBSCO, WorldCat and Primo Central, local and WorldCat, whatever the combinations you can use here to blend to decide which of those engines are stronger and which of those are weaker, and you can play around here. Before I continue to the next one, which was the constitution, I want to make an important point here on the blending here. There's a parameter that I've seen that hasn't been used, that not everyone uses it, and it's quite an important parameter. I will go to mapping tables. I will search here, deep search. In deep search plugin parameters, there's a plugin parameter that is called Primo Service, Primo Rank. And it's sometimes false, sometimes true. It depends on let's take a WorldCat local. It's sometimes true, it's sometimes false. It's what happens if this is false and what happens if it's true. If this is false, what will happen? The blending is not as we don't rank the WorldCat or the deep search results that returned. We don't give them a new rank. We don't blend them with our rank of the local. Let's say we've blended. Let's do the thing again. Like let's say we've done Primo. We have a local search engine. I'll go back here. We are going to blend local search engine with WorldCat. Now, if we haven't turned on for WorldCat the ranking and it's false, what will happen is that we don't give a rank in your Primo. We will do a search to the local and get results. We'll do a search to WorldCat and get those results. And the blending, because there is no we haven't re-ranked, we haven't given a rank to WorldCat based on our local search engine. What will happen normally? What you'll see is that they'll be merged to page. You'll get a page of Primo local, the next page WorldCat. Next page Primo local, next page WorldCat, and because there is no ranking in a certain way, there is no relevant ranking score between them, because WorldCat can return with a score which is connected to WorldCat. Could be, I don't know, let's say in 1,000. That's the score. That's I've lost the word. It's measurement. It's the size. Let's say the sizing of the score. They have between 0 and 1,000 is their score scale, and Primo is between 0 and 1. And so there is nothing here to compare between them, and so the blending doesn't work as well because the rankings, and that's why you'll see page. But if you go and if you turn on, like we said before, if you go and you turn it on and you turn it to true, what that means, and normally you will see that the results are better blended. When it becomes true, what it does, it gives a rank to the WorldCat, to the deep search. It'll search in WorldCat, return, get the results, and then create. In technical terms, it'll create a mini index. But what it does, in fact, it gives them a rank. It ranks them as in the same relevance, in the same scale as the Primo local. And then when you rank them and when you blend them, the scores are similar. The scores have the same scale, and we're easier to blend it. And then you'll get the blending. You'll see it'll be much better. Now, of course, if you want it in the way of in how it looks like with the page, that's of course there. But I do suggest that it's better for the blender for blending to turn on the rank to true. Okay, the last one, if we want to boost certain things, this is the institutional boost. It's mainly used in consortiums or when you have certain institutions. You can, per view, you can boost the collections, boost the records based on the institution's collection. Okay, and how does this work? There's two things that would need to be done. First of all, records need to have, in the delivery section, they have to have the institution code there. There has to be an institution field with the institution code, okay? And that's the first one. In the delivery section, the PNX has to be in the institution. It uses that institution, that code over there, the code of the institution, to understand who is connected to the institution. And the second place is to turn it on. And where do we turn this on? In a moment, I'll explain exactly what it does, but we'll look over here. In the Views wizard, let's take, I'll take Whiteshore. I'm in a consortium with Whiteshore and Volcano.
Microsoft ist ja so schlecht. Hast du mal diese Link-Web-App versucht? Ich will mich hier mit so einem Webinar verbinden.
Yes, I want. And we'll continue here to the tabs configurations. We'll go to the brief display. Brief results. And here, I have here institution boost. So where do I go again? I just want to show it again. I went, I'll do it, I'll just do it again. I'll just slower again. Let's say I go to Volcano, edit, I go scope list, and tabs, tiles. In the tiles, I will go to the brief display. And the brief display, I go to locations. In locations, what did I do? What did I do? Sorry, not locations, brief results. In brief results, if we go to what we want to do with the brief results, we go to below here, and what we have for the view, boost results from my institution. If we check this parameter, and then we deploy, what will happen then? What will happen that when you search now in this consortium, in this institution which has many institutions here, in your view, and of course, like we said before, in your PNX you have, and in the other PNXs, we have to have the whole consortium should have in the PNX, in the delivery section, have an institution field with the institution code. What it will do right now, it'll boost up the institution, the scope's institution, or the view. This is the Volcano, will boost up Volcano, and in a way you can say lower down the other one so that the Volcano will be more visible, will be ranked higher. And in fact, when you go into the reef, let's say the Whiteshore, say go back to the main here, if I go to a Volcano, that's what we saw, we'll boost them up. And if I go to the Whiteshore, I will see, if it's turned on, of course, the Whiteshore will be stronger, will be relevant, will be higher up ranked than the Volcano one. If it's not turned on, then of course the regular ranking will always be on all the records, and it will be blended, between. It's kind of blending between all the institutions over there. But that's one way. If you want, that's the third way in the control to get the local. Of course, you can also do again the booster that we saw before. But take into in fact that any institution can do the booster, and then you're all blending on the certain things. So it's better to use when you're in a consortium and in there you have many institutions, use institution boost to allow yours to be stronger, to be relevant, to be higher up in the results. Okay, so to sum up, the three things that we said are three ways that we talked about to allow to boost up, to allow certain collections, certain records, certain institutions, or like we said in plain, certain engines to be ranked higher, is the booster that we have in the normalization rules that we can set to a collection with a rule to those collections, to those records that we know that we want to boost up. Blending, of course, between the engines themselves, and institutional boost inside the consortium itself, which is mainly it's between institutions themselves, and so exactly, very good. And we'll go to the next one. If one adds two or enhanced terms in the synonym list, do these have any influence on the relevance ranking? Example: if the term search for is allergy, and the synonym list has four alternatives, allergy, are these four alternatives equally treated as relevant as the term allergy, which of course is the original term? So I will talk about synonyms in itself again, but let's answer the question in itself. First of all, today the synonym does not treat the synonym as an equal to the original term. We do see the original term as the more important term. It's in fact in all the ranking, the recall and the ranking that is done in Primo, the original term is always stronger than anything else that is added. It's stronger than the synonym. It's stronger than stemming, as we'll see later on. It's always stronger because we see the original term of what the user entered as the more important. Now, in the synonyms, if you do set it to very high, it will be close, not equal, but it will be very close in its ranking in itself, the synonym itself. So I just want to go to what did I say the synonym is set to very high. We'll go back to our here. We'll go to the beginning, search engine configuration. In our search engine configuration, we have here. I've lost it here. The synonyms. Okay, this is the score itself. Sorry, this is not where I want to go. This is the scores over here. Here's our score of how we want to give each one in itself. But if we want to change the 1 second, I will want to give you the score itself, the thing. Where is it? I lost my page. One moment. Okay. Wait, I have my notepad. That's what I wanted. Sorry. One moment. Yeah. I had it in the notepad. It's closed. And I will want to open my English. Let's open the English synonyms just so that I can show you. We'll do it from here. Okay, 1 second. Here we go. So I will go to where we have our synonyms files. And our synonym files, let's take the out-of-the-box English. Look at the ones that are much nicer to see. Okay, so we have here yogurt to yogurt, and it's very high. Okay, and it's low. And what we have here is, as you can see, we can set which ones we want here. Very high, low, medium, like we saw in the search engine configuration, that you can say what the boost over there is in itself, normal. Okay, now, of course, you can set the parameters of what you would like it to be, how much it'll give it, and of course, you should have whatever you have here very high should be higher in the configurations in the back office. But once you put very high and you put it as close as possible, the strongest that is at, you will get closer. But of course, like I said, the system doesn't allow the synonym to be exactly like the original term. Seeing again, as we do not see it as the original term, it'll always be closer. Even whatever you put here, just so put it as high as possible. Put it very high if you want the things to be nearly equal. Okay, if it's something that is like we saw over here, that we want that in our question over here, they want these four things to be very close to that. So put them as very high and give them a relatively high score, closer as to 1, and that will make it as closer as possible as we can to the original term. The reason that, just as a quick thing, the reason that we have here these different types of high, low, normal is, of course, there are many different kind of things here that are similar. Okay, that come like over here, that can be a synonym, and some are closer related, some are less related, and when you have a lower one, it will be added only if it's, of course, it will be added with a lower boost, so it will come up. If you don't have anything that's connected to that word, then something will come up that is connected. Lower, where not that higher in relevance connected, but still connected, so you will still be able to get. So you can have a certain hierarchy of how related to the original word your synonym is. Okay, and so the ones that are nearly the same, we'll put them very high, and the ones that are close, like as we see here, we have here the Roman numerals that are similar to that. They're similar, but normally we don't get, people would want to say, if we normally, let's say 11, the number 11, if we'll come over here, we have here 11th, and 11 in itself is very high, because if you write 11, you would like also the word 11 to be, or the opposite, so it's very high. It is the same, in fact, as you can say, the same thing. It's not exactly, and I just want to show you in a moment just an example why I do not see it as exactly the same. If we have here the 16th century, this is an example. I look for 16th century, lovely, okay. But 16th century, if I go back here for a moment, I do have here a synonym with 16th century, okay. Now, 16th century, this is the journal maybe that I wanted to look for, or these journals in itself. And if I write here the 16th century, I will want this to come up, maybe, or this. I'm not sure, and that's normally what I wanted to explain. I would not want maybe, and that's the question, we don't work sure completely, but we want to make sure that the user, what he wrote is what he wants in itself. The 16th century that he wrote over here, this will come up in itself and not the record that we saw before. It is in his corpus over here. As you can see, as we go down, lower down, we all have things that have 16th century and things like that. But we do take the user's terms are more important than the synonym itself, because that could be exactly what he wanted. And if I start giving him the ones that are exactly correct, is equally to it, but it's not what he wrote. And so, even though I will recall it, and if we go further in, we will find that journal itself. If I write here journal, as you can see, it came up. 16th century journal, that's the result. I don't have a 16th century journal with the number 16 in itself, but this I do. So here, the synonym helped me return the result that I wanted, even though I didn't write, and here the synonym gave what I wanted. Okay, and we can see here that here where the synonym came into play very nicely and returned, even though I didn't return, I did exactly the same thing. But like I want just to emphasize, 16th century, if you just wrote this could be what he wanted. And if there were other things with journal, that would come up before my 16th century that I had before. Okay, so the user's terms are very important to us. We don't want to lose the user's terms. We want to use the user term and also add the other ones, but not as equals, but as a bit less. I want to also explain a bit about the synonyms in itself, how they work. The synonyms are also only added as in the keyword search and not used when boosting phrases. And what do I mean here? Synonyms are per word. That's how we use them. That's how Primo uses it. It means that when there are algorithms that are creating phrases and ranking algorithms with boosts different to the whole phrase, the synonym doesn't take part in that part. It doesn't take part in those rankings. The ranking that it comes up, it mainly works on the keyword itself. If in other words, I want to talk about recall. I would like, when I write 16th century, the synonym of 16th century will just give the recall that I will have it back here. It will be in my 1,736 results. I do have the 16th century in my result set over here. In ranking, of course, the 16th century will take more precedence on that one because it's what the user, like I said before, it is what the user wrote, and that's why I use it. Now, the journal, even though, as we see, it's the first result here, okay, and in all these runs, it wasn't boosted up here because of the ranking itself. It was because that was the only result that was here, and it's still in the recall. It's still in my result set that I have over here. Okay, and it's very important to understand because the synonyms, how they work based on what you write and what you... It's here to help the recall, to help not lose things that exist in your corpus, and in that way they help our algorithm, but not in all the ranking algorithms are they used specifically. In a moment I will go to where we do use things that are similar in the algorithm. And that will be, in fact, that will lead me to the next question. But just to sum it up in itself, as we saw over here, they're nearly but not equal, always the user. And so I'll go into this one that, in fact, stems from that question. Stemming, synonyms, inflections, pluralism, what and when does this do or this happen? When do these happen? When are these done? Oops, sorry, excuse me, sorry. Okay, so all these words, there were many cases in the last few years that we've had people know that they're stemming. I can have stemming in my system. There was a feature that was at the beginning of last year was taken, that was there inflections on the title. There's pluralization that goes on. There's the synonyms. When are these used? Okay, and what do they do? What do they mean? Okay, so I will I will turn them into three things. Synonym is based on the file, and there are single terms. It's always added to the system. We always have synonyms. When you search, if you have a synonym and it's in your file, it'll be added to the search. Like we said, it's mainly helps the recall and to have your the result, that you won't lose result, even though, of course, you only wrote the synonym in itself. Okay, and that's what we spoke about before. Stemming and pluralization inflections. Okay. Stemming and pluralization is what we call stemming. Inside stemming, which stemming, just as a brief, what stemming means is that I take the word and I bring it to its stem word. Playing becomes play. Cats become cat. Okay, now all of these, in fact, are in themselves cats is pluralization, but I will turn that pluralization will turn into pluralization. The other one is stemming. I'll take it to its stem form. I want to change playing to play, or plays to play. I want to bring it to its stem form, so that if I searched in, with a plural or happily or whatever, I will still want it to become to its stem form happy and find results based on that. Okay, pluralization, of course, is the opposite direction. I will take cat and turn it into cat. I will add the pluralization where I can, where it's more understood, and I'll pluralize the word. Now, this system, where all of you, if I want to go back to the background, most people know it from here, the search and configuration. We have it here. I lost it. Results threshold. Okay, there's the maximum results for stemming. Okay, what you know over here, this is the 25 results out of the box, which means if I have less than 25 results, my maximum results is less than 25, I will activate the stemming algorithm, the stemming mechanism. And the stemming mechanism, the idea here is that you haven't had, you don't have enough results. Your search yielded in very minimum amount of results, and the system will now like to stem and pluralize your query to be able to increase the amount of results, and maybe the results that you wanted were in fact in that result set that you didn't get from your search results. And that's what I mean here. Based on the number of results, okay, and it helps the recall. And in fact, it's all the fields. That's one of the things that stemming is important to understand. When stemming is activated, because of course, the number of results, we stem all the fields that you've searched. Now, of course, if you searched only title, then only the title will be stemmed. It depends on the search. I only search the title, stemming will occur on the starting. But if I searched in any, okay, in all the fields, then stemming, when it's activated, will stem all the fields. And I will get my query, if we go to our front end that we have here for our use, if I searched cat, dogs, I meant, in fact, if I search cat dogs, sorry. If I search cat, dog, and I have this wildlife. Okay. Sorry, this is not the example I want, but this is the example where you can see the cats, dogs, and raised wild. I'll get to this in a moment. Sorry, this is not the example I wanted. I wanted this result, this one. I found one that helps us with this. Okay. What I have here the title is cats, but if I go into the details, I can see that what is a cat? Okay, in fact, in itself, of course, that's exactly what is the cat baby? Okay. The description was also stemmed over here. Baby to babies. That's the pluralization. Okay? Cat to cats. Here, in fact, is what's the cat, but here's the baby that I was looking for. It happens on everything. I have here anywhere in the record, and when you search anywhere in the record, that means that the pluralization stem will happen in everything, and this is important. And why am I explaining this importantly? Because everywhere, any field that you are now searching, if it's also local fields, LSRs and things like that, and you have local fields, they will also be stemmed in your search, and you're searching on them. And if you have certain things inside there, and the stemming will also stem inside there, and you also get results based on that, and not only on the main title, also subject descriptions that are normally, you can say, that are used for search. Everything in the all the fields will be stemmed, and what happens a lot of times, and that's really many results return from that because everything is stemmed in itself. And one of the things that help us, and then this leads me to the next one, which is the inflection. Now, inflection is a name that we give something, but in fact, it's very similar to stemming pluralization. It's based on the stemming and the pluralization, the inflection. What we call it inflections is that we do a bit more stemming and pluralization that that mechanism does. There are some things that aren't completely done. There's certain stemming and certain pluralization that aren't done there, that are done in the inflections. That's why it's got this different name. But the inflections, the main reason that I have a name is it helps with the ranking. Now, in the inflections, why is this important? What this does, this is done only on the title fields. Okay? It's not like the stemming done on everything, and it's not based on the number of results. It always occurs. In fact, it always occurs more than one term. Sorry, I'll just say. One term inflections aren't activated. Stemming will be activated based on the number of results that you have, but inflections only happens on more than one term. And what inflections does, it works only on the title fields, and it has an important thing what stemming doesn't have. It enforces that all the query terms are in the title. And this is quite important, because if here, even though, in fact, my example now that I see is not the greatest example, because I have here what is a cat and babies are all in the description, what can happen is, I'll have a search just a thing, here, I can, again, cat and description, you have in the description also baby, but what happens is, the stemming is done per word, and it's done on all the fields and all the words. And so what can happen, you can find cats stemmed in the title, and description, if we just remove, let's say, in babies in the description, and it will be in different fields completely. You'll find baby in one place, cat in another place, stemmed, and they'll be mixed around. And does, of course, this is, like I said before, the stemming is important to help the recall. If you have not enough results, you do want to get more results up. It could be that we missed something, could be that it wasn't found, and the stemming and the pluralization helps you, and it will increase the results. And that's why it's based on the results that you've done. But it's on all the fields, and it's a keyword search. It's a keyword expansion. It expands everywhere, on every field. When we talk about inflections, I'm going to inflect only the words in the title. And if we go back to what I had here before, what I wanted to show, if I here have cat, dog, and rated wildlife, okay, I'm going to, even though I might have what I've done here, what happens here, it works only on the title. So I can expand, I can stem, I can pluralize, I can do many interesting things over there with the cat, dog, and the related wildlife. Of course, and is not used as a stopword itself. It's removed when we try to return or rank in this specific area. But what we do, we can add here cats and we can here dogs, and we'll search them only in the title, and we won't get other results with the inflection or mechanism, results based on cats in the description, based on cats in local field 10, based on cats in, by mistake, in I don't know, in a different field. This inflections will help our ranking because it enforces that all the words and all the stemming and the pronunciation that was done happens only in the title. And this way, what we do, we allow only the important, only the more relevant results of what you searched with their inflections, with their pluralization stemming, to be ranked higher. Okay? If I remove this for a moment, not this, 1 second. I will come back to here for over there. If I want to show you here, sound of music. Okay? I search the sound of music. I have many results. The sound of music, the sound of music. Okay? These are very nice results. Sound of music, of course. The stop words, like we said before, are less. That's why even without the da, this can be returned. Okay? But if I do here, the sounding of music, I don't really have the sounding of music. As you can see here, I do have sounding and music in this, in the fifth result, sounding music. I have here in my title. Okay? And it's okay. But it's further off, as you can see. It's not in the phrase itself, the sound of music, the sounding of music. It's the sounding of rhythm music. It's a bit less than what the user wrote here. But over here, what I have here is the sound of music. And it's very similar to what I wrote over here. I don't have something else that is written, the sounding of music, or similar to that in my corpus. That's why I didn't get the result itself. And what the inflections did, and of course, like I said before, it's only on the title. It removed the ing. And it said, okay, I want to now look for sound of music, especially sound of music, but only in the title, and see it as a phrase. And what you got here is that this relevant result was higher up. This relevant result was higher up. All these results over here, the sound of music, were higher than this sounding of music, because they were more closer, and they helped the user to get closer to what it is, even though he didn't write the correct form, the stemmed or the pluralization. And here is how the inflection, when I enforced it only on the title, I didn't get many other results like the stemming, which helped the recall. I helped here the ranking in itself. And it's a very, very nice and very strong thing that we have here. And okay, these are the two things. So let's summarize those two questions that we have, the synonyms and here. As like we said, the synonyms are similar to the stemming, but are always done, and they are near the user query itself, but not exactly. Always will be a bit less than the user query. The stemming, and of course you can set it very high, or the level that you want it to be close, and to help your recall with that synonym in itself. Stemming and pluralization, of course, is the stemming based on the number of results, but on all the fields, which helps with the recall. But the inflections, similar, does the same thing as stemming and pluralization, but only on the title, on all the words, only on the title, and all the words that you've stemmed and the user did have to, the user queried, all have to be in the title themselves. And of course, I just want to add the last thing that's not written here: more than one word. Inflections does not occur on one word. Of course, we don't want to start getting many results like stemming, even on the title, on every search that we do. Okay. What are the key parameters of the relevance in Primo Central? Now, this is a very it can be a very complicated question. There's a lot of parameters that are inside. I will do the key parameters, like written here, and not everything that is in Primo Central. Primo Central, many things come into. There are many parts, but I'll do the key ones over here. There are the main factors. Like I said, there are many, but there are main factors. I will jump between two. There's the document boost, which is the boost that is given to a document that is in Primo Central, and in a moment we'll go into the query parameters, what is done with the query. Okay? The document boost is, as it's stated, it's the boost that I give to a certain document that exists in the Primo Central corpus. Okay? And what that means is that I see, and it also exists also in Primo Local, not these parameters, of course, but the idea of document use exists in Primo Local. You can see in the search configurations, which is you can give documents which have a date, which are further. There's different kind of parameters there that you can give a document. You can say which document is more important than another document. And of course, what do we mean here? We have two documents. Both of them are, let's say, global warming. The known example, I have two documents from global warming. But one document is peer-reviewed, as the first parameters here that we have of a document boost, and one of them is not. And simple statement that I will see the peer-reviewed and is understood in a certain way. That the peer-reviewed, this document is more important than the non-peer-reviewed document. Okay? And that's the idea here. Now, of course, if I search the document that is not peer-reviewed and its title is Global Warming and its author is Eldad Ben-Meir, and that's what I searched, that document, even though it's not peer-reviewed and it has a less document use, will come up because that's what I wanted. Okay, that was the record that I was searched. But when you have, I search global warming, and you have many documents that you have the return from Primo Central, you now have to say which documents are more important than the other ones that will be boosted higher. And here are the key parameters that that comprise of an important document. We have a document which is peer-reviewed, is said to be more important. Its citations, okay, it's not, the citation has a certain impact, but not as much because, okay, it's important. It's important, the citation, but of course, newer things have less citations, so it's an important factor, but not, of course, the strongest in itself, but it is important. Journal usage, the understanding of the importance of this journal, how much this journal is used, is a parameter that is aggregated and is used here to give journals that are more used a more important boost. And of course, the dates. The newer it is, it gets a certain date. It gets a more boosting. Of course, the date is, in fact, it's a decay. You can it doesn't there's not for every, as you go back in time, the boost is less, but it still gets a boost in itself. Okay, so these are the main parameters. Again, the peer reviewed is more important. It makes it important. The citation, journal usage, and the date. These come together to a certain number, a boost that is given to a document. Okay, based on these parameters. And that document becomes more important. Now you, of course, have documents that have all these four parameters. Two documents have all these four factors inside the document boost, but if it's newer, it'll probably a bit more stronger. If it's journal usage, it's much more, it'll get more strong, even though its date is a bit less. There's a certain amount of leverage that goes between them. And so that's the side of the document. But the other side, of course, is the search itself. When we're searching in Primo Central, there are many parameters in the query that we use to help us get the relevant documents up. So, of course, field boosting. We boost the title in itself and the author and the subject and the description. And as you go to different, and they have different strengths. The title is the strongest. After that is the subject, and then the author, and then the description. Okay, and that helps us when you search, even though you have a subject, but the title, that's your title, it'll be stronger. The type. Where the proximity of the user's query terms in the document itself, of course, the closer they are, the stronger the match is. Okay, the further they are in the title, the further are in the subject, in the description, as bigger as it is, it'll be less important. Okay, and those two things are very important for the query. To help us create these queries, these algorithms, we have entity recognition. We have to understand the user searched an author. He has an author in his user. He searched J.K. Rowling Harry Potter, which is not in fact Primo Central, but it's a nice example that I like. We have to understand that J.K. Rowling is an author there and search it in the author field and give it understanding that if you have J.K. Rowling in your query, you want authors that have J.K. Rowling and not J.K. Rowling as the title. You also want J.K. Rowling as the title, but of course we understand that it's an author and we'll have it higher up. Okay? Citations, to recognize citations, and of course if you put dates. And the last thing is, of course, expansions. Just like we talked about before, our synonyms and the spelling and the stem and the pronunciation, the inflections, all these are part of the relevance in Primo Central as in Primo to help us bring more results, even if the user, of course the user is the most important, that's the most important thing I want to say, but the expansions help us to get more results, even if they're not exactly what the user does. Now all these things come together to help us create, and they all have their strengths, but all these fields, the query parameters and the documents, come together to give us the key parameters of what we do to return things from Primo Central. And so to summarize this whole thing that we have over here in our things, that we spoke mainly on, the user, what he wrote, and so on to end, is the most important thing that we want to see, because we know that most users write what they want to look for, and everything else around is to help the user find the things. The did you mean that we didn't talk about, but did you mean, the expansions, the spelling, the synonyms, they're all here to help find what he wants, but the user itself, we hope that he knows what he's searching for, and that's why we give him more credit than other things that we do. That's it. I hope it was understood. It was that we covered, in fact, we covered a lot of things over here, and that's it. I hope good luck to you all, and good day. Bye-bye.